Hello there everybody, Data Pioneer here with the Linux Unix Tech Channel, and what's on the cards today for the Linux Unix Tech Channel? Well, I thought I'd take a look at a distro of Linux called Alma Linux. If you're not familiar with it, it's a Red Hat Enterprise Linux binary. I'm up on the website right now at Alma Linux, and the URL is almalinux.org, and on the website it says it's free Linux OS for the community, by the community. It's an open source, community owned and governed, forever free enterprise Linux distro, and it was developed after CentOS 8 was removed by Red Hat, and to fill the gap, the community pitched in and Alma Linux was born. And we went from there. So the last time I reviewed a distro of Red Hat Enterprise Linux was CentOS 8, I believe, and that's been about 3 or 4 years ago, probably about 4 years ago now. And so let's take a look at Alma Linux. I'm going to install Alma Linux 9.5 full version. And we're going to do this in 2 parts. First part will be the actual install in virtual machine. And then in the second part, we'll look at the system setup, and product review. So let's get with it. Let's take a look at Alma Linux 9.5. Okay, let's get started. I'm in my hypervisor here, VirtualBox version 7.0 in Linux, and so I'm going to go ahead and set up the machine for Alma Linux. I've already downloaded the ISO and I have put it in its repository for VirtualBox, and I've also run a SHA-256 hash checksum against the file, and it's a good file. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click on Machine New, and I'm just going to type in Alma Linux 9.5, and let's go down here. VirtualBox virtual machines is fine, and the ISO that we're going to select here, let's go to Other and select it. Alma Linux 9.5 x86 64, the DVD ISO, which is the full version. Alright, so let's open that, put that in there, and then I'm going to skip the unattended installation here. Click Next. I'm going to give this virtual machine 4 gigs of RAM, which should be satisfactory or sufficient here for Alma, and 2 processors. Click Next, and then I'm going to give it 32 gigabytes of virtual hard disk space, and click Next here, and then let's go ahead and finish, and let's get started. So I'm going to click the Start button here and bump it up to full screen, and I'm going to go up and hit Install. Alright, and bump this up to full screen. We'll do that. Let's do View Full Screen and switch. There we go. Alright, so it's beginning the installer here in a moment, and I believe it's the Anaconda installer if I'm not mistaken. There it is, and yes. So let's click in here and let's capture that mouse and continue. And here we are with the installation summary, and so we need to set up some users. So let's do a root user. I'll set up the root password. Oop, wrong password. Okay. Don't want to lock the root account. I do not want to allow the root SSH login. So let's go ahead and click Done. And let's set up a user account Alright, so put in my name and username of Data Pioneer. And this is very important, so make sure that you check the box, make this user administrator. And I always require a password to use this account. I don't do a passwordless user, even a standard user, especially not a root user. So I'm making this user my Data Pioneer, which is my usual standard user in Linux. Here in RHEL, I'm going to make it that user an administrator, so that we don't have a problem when we get into using sudo. Otherwise, that user won't be on the sudoers list, and we'll have to do that. So that's going to prevent us from having to do that. So let's go ahead and put in a password here. Alright, and should match, and so let's go ahead and click done. And it is okay, and so let's go up to System, click the installation destination. I'll uncheck and then retick the hard drive. I'm not going to do anything fancy here. I'm just going to do an automatic storage configuration, an automatic partitioning. And so let's go ahead and click done here. And it's checking the storage, and that should be fine. It is. So let's go ahead and begin the installation. Alright, so it's beginning the installation now, and it's progressing along. Now this is going to take a while, so I'm going to go ahead and at some point I'm going to stop the video, and then I'll come back when the installation is completed. It takes about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to do the install here. If I recall correctly, for Alma Linux 9.5. It is a fairly large file, 10.6 gigabytes in size, the ISO is, and so I will stop the video and come back when the installation process is completed before reboot. Okay, so the installation is complete. It took about 7 or 8 minutes, I believe, and now that it's completed, let's go ahead and reboot the system. So I'll come over and hit Reboot System and let it reboot. And it should come up to a login screen, hopefully. And I'll log in. And here we are. So this is the login screen for Alma Linux. So let me go ahead and click on my name here, put in my password, hit enter, and let's get logged in. Alright, so we're presented with the Welcome to Alma Linux tutorial here, or a tour, and so you can either say no thanks or you can take the tour. So let's go ahead and take the tour. So if I take the tour, we're at the Start the Tour screen here, and so we're going to learn about the new and essential features of Alma 9.5. Let's click the Start button to get the tour started. So here we've got an overview screen. So it says here, press activities to see open windows and apps. And so let's click Next. Make apps your own, arrange the app grid to your liking, so you can do that as well. So click Next. Keep on top with workspaces, so easily organize the windows with the new workspace view. So let's click Next, and then up and down for the overview. I don't have a touch capable screen, so I'm just going to go ahead and bypass this and this, and so that's it. So we hope that you enjoy Alma Linux 9.5. So there wasn't a lot to the tour, but that could be helpful. Let's click Close. And so here we are at the initial screen in Alma Linux. Okay, at the main screen here in Alma, looks like we have an Activities button here, which will allow us to access this portion of the operating system here. We'll get into that in a moment, but you've got different workstations. You've got a couple of different workstations initially that you can set up, and then when you click on the workstation itself. It highlights it, brings it to the fore, so that you can work with it. Across the top here, you've got a calendar. So if you click it, you've got your calendar. Today's April 9th, 2025. And you can click on a Do Not Disturb if you don't want notifications to come in. So that's nice. Across here, you've got a section where you've got your connectivity information for your networking, your sound, and you can change the balance by sliding this back and forth. You've got your settings here that you can click on to get into the settings area. All right, we'll get into that in a moment. And so let's close that for now. And then you've got power. So if you click on power, come down again, you can go here, arrow, and suspend, restart, power off, or log off the system. Okay. So let's get into the activities. So let's go back there and let's go down. So you've got Firefox. So let's bring up Firefox. And let's see what version of Firefox we're running here in Alma. So if I go to Firefox and let's see, show details, I think that we could do it from there. No, that's not telling us what the version is. I'm actually looking for information about well, let's see, help about is what I'm looking for, but I don't. Oh, here we go. Click on the hamburger over here and about, help about, and it says that our current Firefox browser version is 128.9 .0 ESR, and that's a 64-bit, so that's extended support release of Firefox browser, which is normal for this type of operating system. Alright, so that's Firefox. And let's go back to activities again. You've got the file manager, and if I click on that, this is the file manager. And let's see what about files. This is files 40.2 version number, and so that's what's available here for us in Alma. And so you've got access to all your usual stuff here: desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public templates, and videos. Okay, so let's close that. Let's go back and let's see, this is the software store. If you bring that up, you can explore here, or you can go click on what's installed, or you can click on updates, and everything is up to date. So let's look at explore and see what they have. So some of the available apps, I won't go through all of these obviously, but usual players, Brezero, Document Viewer, Evolution Mail, Ion Gnome, Gnome Calculator, things like Gnome Tweaks, Emacs, GVim, Inkscape, and then the LibreOffice suite, Photos, Thunderbird, Wireshark, Seahorse, Xane, which is a scanner software. And then you've got other categories you can go into, like codecs, fonts, input sources, and localization as well. And then what we have installed here on this system in Alma is Cheese, Disk User Analyzer, Document Viewer, Eye of Gnome, Files, Firefox. Going down here, I've got the GNOME, the screenshots, Terminal. And so let's get into the terminal, and let's open that up. And so here's the terminal. All right, and so I think this system is up to date, but let's check and make sure it isn't or is. And so let's do a sudo dnf update, and put in my password. Nothing to do. It is up to date. Alright, so let's clear the screen. Let me bump this up just a little bit so you can see it a little better. And let's take a look at the file structure. Well, not the file structure, but the device structure. Take a look at that. We've got 17% being used for root, and that's not bad. All right, and then memory-wise, wrong command. All right, and so looking at memory, we've got 4 gigs, and we're using a little over a gig of memory. We've got 4 gigs of swap, and we're using nothing there. All right, so we've got 2279 megs available in memory. All right, so let's exit out of the terminal. Let's go back into activities, and go down to, there's the terminal again, and this is help. So you've got a help area you can get into for GNOME help if you need help for your desktop or networking, or this is pretty cool. Sound, video, pictures, files, user systems, settings, hardware, drivers, accessibility, etc., etc. So that's nice to have a help section to work with. And then coming down here, you've got the interface here where you can get into all of your applications at one time. All right, and then you've got your 2 desktops here. All right, so let's go back to the one desktop that we have. Now if I right click on the desktop, I can change the background. Let's see what's available. Not a lot of wallpapers here, but you know, that's okay. I'm going to add to that, and I might change the wallpaper to something like perhaps, let's change it to that. And then over here are your settings, and let's go into settings while we're already here. If you go to the top, you've got networking. So we're now connected, 1000 megabit per second here, wired connection. We've got VPN we can set up, but it's not currently set up, and we have no proxies set up in the system. For Bluetooth, we don't have any Bluetooth devices on my system. This is a System 76 Thelio box. It doesn't have Bluetooth built in. For background, we already touched on that. Notifications, you can toggle the Do Not Disturb here. Lock the screen notifications. For applications, they're all listed down here. And then, so for instance, if you want notifications for date and time or printers, software, etc., you can do that. For search, you've got this capability over here for controlling search within each of these. Multitasking, you've got hot corner you can set up, turn it on or off. Active screen edges, turn that on and off. Dynamic workspaces, you can turn that to dynamic or fixed number. Right now I've got it dynamic, so I can create them on the fly. And then multi-monitor, I only have the one monitor here. So I don't need to be concerned about this, but if I had multiple monitors, I can put the workspaces on the primary display only, or I can set it up so that the workspaces are on all displays. This is typical. Applications, you can do the integration here for search and notifications. And let's see, let's go back to privacy and online accounts. We've got Google, Nextcloud, Microsoft Exchange, and Fedora. All right, and then sharing. You've got computer names, localhost, screen sharing is off right now, but if I turn it on, you can share your screen. Remote login, I've got it turned on. Sound, I've got the sound here where I can set up the levels. System volume and sound level. Right now it's all the way up. I don't need it to be all the way up. Alright, and then power. Right now it's balanced, but I can do a power saver mode if I want to. just kind of typical for most operating systems set up now. For displays, I should be running, should be running 1920 by 1080. So let me do 1920 by 1080. Let me apply that and keep those changes. All right, so I'm at the 1920 by 1080 resolution. I can turn the night light on if I want to and set that by a schedule here of when night light. Some operating systems call it redshift, and Debian it's called redshift, and that's to save your eyes toward the end of the evening. You've got blue light from your monitor, and it helps with your sleep cycle as well, so that it doesn't interrupt your sleep. Alright, so let's go back to displays, and then mouse and touchpad. If you click on that, you can change your mouse speed, and then the general, we got left and right mouse buttons. For keyboard, it's an English keyboard. Use the same source for all windows here, and then you can do special characters and keyboard shortcuts. You can customize those. Printers, you need to unlock it to set up the printers. I do have a couple of printers, but I haven't got them set up in the system yet. But all you need to do is unlock it and go in and set it up. And then for removable media, you can, for CD audio, DVD audio, video, music player, photos, you can, toggle this and ask what to do nothing, open folder, or other applications when you insert a CD audio or a DVD video or turn on your music player, etc. Let's keep going down. Color. Got one virtual monitor here, and it's not calibrated. I would need to calibrate it. Region and language, so I can set up the language of my choice. For me, it's English, and then I can set up the formatting as well. Then for accessibility, which is nice, built into Alma Linux, you can turn on or off the high contrast, the large text. The cursor size is now set at default, and you've got zoom turned off. Screen reader is off, sound keys are off, etc., etc. This is for people who are visually impaired or hearing impaired and things like that. For users, you can set up various users in the system, and if you want to add a user, let's go ahead and let me just add a user here. Let's unlock here. Let me put in my password. Authenticate, and let's add a user to the system. And I'm going to set up a user as test user. Username is test user. Allow the user to set a password when they next log in, or you can set their own password now. I'm just going to set the password for the user, since this is a fictitious user. Let's see here. Doesn't like the fact that I was using the username, so that's good. All right. And you can click enterprise login if you want to do that, but let me go ahead and just add. And so I've got test user set up now, and if I want this test user to be an administrator, which I don't, I could toggle this on. If I want automatic login for the user, I can turn it on here, etc., etc. If I want to remove the user at some point, I can remove the user in this interface by clicking this remove user button. Okay, so we've got an alternate user set up in the system. It's a standard non-administrator. And then for default applications, you can go in here, and if you had more than one web browser, for instance, you could select whether you want to keep Firefox as the default, or for instance, if you had Brave set up, you could toggle over to Brave and make that your default web browser, and that would come up instead of Firefox whenever something needed to access the web. Same with mail, calendar, video, photos, etc., etc. And then last but not least, date, time. I click on that. I've got automatic date time turned on, but if you want to turn it off, you can set the date and time. You might want to set that to UTC perhaps instead of local time. You can set up automatic time zone, but I went ahead and set up the time zone of New York. Actually, it was done for me by default. Didn't need to change it, and it recognizes the fact that we're on Eastern Daylight Time, which is good. And then time format, I want to switch it away from 24-hour to AM PM for now. And so that's the settings, the extent of that pretty much. And so here we are at the new desktop, and let's see if I make sure I hit everything, and it looks like I did. Display settings, if I go back there, we are on 1920 by 1080, and so we're good to go there. Alright, so this is pretty much the extent of what I need to show you in Alma Linux. This operating system, of course, runs off of the Red Hat. It's a Red Hat binary, a replacement for CentOS 8 when it disappeared, and now we're up to Alma Linux 9.5 in this system. And this is the full version, and there's a lot more to go here in this operating system, but for now, all I wanted to show you was some of the things that you have available to you out of the box, and you can configure it any way you like. And so if you like this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, Data Pioneer, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And so this is Data Pioneer signing off. This has been a system setup and product review of Alma Linux 9.5. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.